Welcome back to another episode of the Stomping Grounds. It's August 4th, and we're getting ready to put out our trail cameras for early season. I prefer to actually do my trail cameras sometime in the August time frame, and then I'll start checking them pretty frequently all the way up until about mid-September, and then I start to wean off using the trail cameras after that. Early October, I'll check them periodically when I'm going to my stands, and occasionally a few times mid-season, and then quite a bit late season as I'm trying to determine if the deer are coming back out, losing their sheds, things like that. So I want to talk to you about a few things today about different trail cameras. I'm one of those types of guys that prefers to use the cheaper cameras. Some guys like to use cell phone cameras, Exodus, Cuttybacks. There's several different brands out there. Eventually, when I move out here to the farm, I'll probably use some different types of cameras, a little bit more expensive cameras. But for now, I put a lot of trail cameras on the farm and sometimes on public land too. So, I'm not too worried about if I get a trail camera that's stolen that costs me anywhere from $30 to $50. But once you start getting into some of those high-end trail cameras that are $150, $200 or higher, it definitely stings a little bit when those get stolen. Or if you happen to get some of the cabling systems, the lock boxes that go around some of the higher-end trail cameras, you're just putting that much more money into it. So I prefer to use the cheap ones. So let's talk about some different kinds of trail cameras I like to use. I've gotten quite a few of these stealth cameras over the years. I would say they're probably mediocre on the low end of the spectrum. Trail cameras, I would say under $50. This is probably a medium to fair trail camera. They take okay pictures, resolution's not too bad. I don't use the video setting very often. The actual control panel is pretty generic, and they do the job. They definitely take some halfway decent pictures. I've got a couple different models of those. I absolutely hate the straps. I prefer trail cameras like these wild game cameras that have the bungees that go around the tree. Much easier to use, maybe a little easier to lose, but I actually like those better. This one's also a wild game camera. This one's a little bit more expensive than your standard cameras you see down here. I think this one was probably $75 or so. It takes pretty good quality photos. I think that's 16 megapixel. Wild games are definitely my preferred cameras. I've even got some Muddies. They have a pretty good display panel in them when you power them on. I'm just going to go ahead and recharge all these and put new batteries in them for the season, put new cards in them. I've even got a Moultrie camera. This is cell phone compatible. It was a pretty cheap one though. I found it on sale. I think it was about 30 or 40 bucks. I really don't like this camera. It takes really poor quality photos. I would say these two, the Muddy and the Moultrie, are probably my least favorite as far as the picture quality. The stealth cameras are a little bit better, but not much, and I don't really like the strap system. I would say if I was going to buy a camera in that $50 range, even up to the little higher end cameras that Wild Game makes that are affordable in that $75 range, I would say Wild Game all day long. The picture quality is great. The displays are usually pretty easy to use, and I prefer them over all the cameras I have that are in that $50 or less range. I've got quite a few of these Wild Game cameras. I've even seen them on Amazon. You can find them, the brown ones, that I think they're around the $35 range. They're pretty cheap. You can get like a 2 or 3 pack if you want, and I've never had any problems with them. They last forever. One thing I'd also like to talk about is battery usage. So I found that the cheapest way to go about your battery usage is to go ahead and buy your batteries in bulk. I bought a 100 pack off of Amazon, or AC Delcos is what they're called, for $24 off of Amazon. I can go ahead and fill all my trail cameras up for the season. That'll last me well into you know, gun season, mid-November time frame, and sometimes even a little longer, depending on how often you check them, how often you use them, how many pictures they're taking, what settings you have set on them. So we're going to go ahead and talk about trail camera placement, where I actually like to put my trail cameras, and I'll kind of walk you around the farm, show you some different areas where I actually place trail cameras based off of terrain, different features, funnels, mock scrapes, water holes, all the different areas that I like to pattern deer early, and then basically keep track on them, and also kind of do an inventory of bucks early on and also in late season. So we'll talk about that next. Let's talk about trail camera placement. So this first trail camera I'm going to show you, I just put out yesterday, put new batteries in it. It's August 6th, and I go ahead and get all my trail cameras out pretty early in the season, usually August time frame, so that I can start catching the bucks as they're coming out of velvet, and they should be completely out of velvet probably by early to mid-September. So this first camera over my shoulder I put here on the back side of this micro plot. Now this is going to be a great spot for most of the bucks coming in and out of this food plot, out of this bedding zone back behind me. So what I did is I went ahead and put the camera up there about 6 feet high so that the deer actually can't see or don't see it as often as they would if it was chest high or even waist high. I have it placed over a salt lick for now, and then I actually have right beside the camera I have a mock scrape I just made, and I'll probably move that once I move all my mineral blocks out of the area way before hunting season starts. So I'll probably move that camera and place it facing the direction of the mock scrape, and on the other side of the camera I'm going to have a tree stand over here in this large walnut tree. So I'm going to get a lot of movement coming out of this bedding area from the bottom into this food plot, and as they transition over to the other side of the property, there's a ridge line they follow back and forth. So I think it's going to be a great spot to have a camera catching some of that movement coming in and out of the bedding area. Let's go on to trail camera 2 location, and I'll show you what I'm going to do up there. So this is actually trail camera location number 2. It's actually a 110-gallon water tank we put in a couple years ago, and I noticed last year the deer really picked up on this and started using it a lot, especially early season. Got some really great buck photos in here. The camera is right there. It's about 6.5 foot tall on the tree. Obviously you want to get it over your waist to chest level so that the deer don't always pick up on the flashes it creates, especially at nighttime. They usually don't see it if you put it high enough, and especially if you put it on a tree that's wider than the camera itself. This is a great spot for different times of the year, especially during the rut when the deer are coming through here. They start to really need a lot more water as the rut picks up. They get most of their water from vegetation early season, but when they're cruising and running a lot more, they're going to be coming through here and getting drinks, especially to and from bedding areas and even to and from feeding locations. So that's the one thing I really like about this spot. And if you don't have a lot of water holes created, at least have 1 to 2 of these on a property my size, which is around 50 acres, and it's a great location. It's directly about 30 yards across from our hunting blind, and we can sit in there quiet and odorless and watch this water hole early season or even late season. So it's a great spot, and I get a lot of great pictures off this location. So let's move on to number 3. I'll show you what that looks like. So this is camera location number 3, and it's on the north side of our main food plot. And I've had this grapevine mock scrape up for, I believe, 2 years now. And I get a lot of great pictures off this one too. It's facing south, so I don't have to worry about sun exposure. The camera's back here about probably 10 to 15 feet away from this funnel that comes on the back side of this little watering hole that we built a couple years ago. And the deer funnel through here and kind of carry on down the right of way along this food plot a lot of times. And so I get some great pictures of them hitting this grapevine mock scrape behind me. So I went ahead and freshened it up. for the season, and make sure the dirt was exposed underneath it, so when deer actually do go by it, kind of triggers them to actually come over, investigate, and actually rub their preorbital glands on the vine. So I'll probably get some great pictures on this in late August, early September. Come back and check it. And then again, this is on the way to a tree stand, so you don't have to kind of go out of your way and leave a lot of undue ground scent that you would have at any other location where you're just going out to check it. So I can come out here and check when I'm actually going on my way to the tree stand. Our tree stand is about 15-20 feet over in this direction. So I can come through this back section here, pull the card, view it while I'm in the tree stand, put it back in, or even take it with me, replace the card, and look at them at home. So I always try to make sure that I put my camera somewhere close to a stand that I'm actually going to be using, so that I don't actually have to come in here and make another trip just to go check my cameras. So trail camera number 4, I actually kind of put it in a small tree behind me. It's only about 5.5 feet tall, but that's about as tall as the tree is. It's not a very big tree. This actually is on the way to a stand on the back side, the south side of our main food plot, and we have a walk-on stand back here. So again, I'm always putting my trail cameras on the way to stands, so that if I do actually use the stands, I can check the cards on the way, especially when, you know, deer season rolls around and you don't want to put a whole lot of pressure on your property. You want to make sure that you're only checking those cameras when you're already on the way to a stand. So I'll probably, like I said, check most of these, you know, up until about mid-September, then let it clear out for a while, at least a couple weeks, before you haven't even come back in here and do any hunting. This is one of those wild game cameras. I get some pretty good quality photos on it. We actually did a lot of TSI work on this part of the tree line, knocked a lot of trees down to kind of create some cover, because there's a back section of woods here, and it funnels down into a creek bed and goes up towards our property in the lane up front. And every time we walk out here into this field, we get a lot of deer seeing us, smelling us, hearing us coming through. So we knocked a lot of trees down to create some screening cover, and most of the deer actually come through the end of the screening or through this back part right here and funnel along this food plot. So get a lot of good pictures, and I'll show you some of those, especially late season last year when they were coming out here. Most of the bucks came in and out of this area, so got a lot of good quality pictures, and I'm hoping to catch them early on this year, see if they're moving back through here, especially, you know, if I'm going to be using some of these stands on the back side of this food plot. So let's go on to camera location 5 and 6, and I'll probably wrap it up for the day. I have a couple more cameras after that I may put up. An additional 32 acres we've got to hunt this year, we've got access to. We may put some cameras in there just to see if there's anything moving through there. There's some sections with some white oaks that I think might make a good spot, especially early bow season, if they're actually dropping acorns. But the next 2 cameras I'm going to put up are going to be on the inside corners of field edges, and those are also great locations, in addition to some of the ones I've shown you, like the mock scrapes, micro plots, watering holes, any kind of funnels. Those are always great spots for camera locations. Any kind of mock scrapes that you can use with, you know, either grapevines or oak leaves or oak branches that you can physically just make yourself, put it on a post, drill a hole, screw it in there, and, you know, clear out a section underneath. Those make excellent scrapes early season, and keep them going into even early November, when that rutting activity is really picking up, leaving a lot of different smells for the different bucks that come through as they're rubbing their glands on all these different mock scrape locations. So let's go ahead and go over to our final 2 trail camera locations for the day, and I'll show you how I'm going to set those up, and then we'll kind of complete the video and do an overview of the farm, kind of show you some of the locations where I just set all these cameras up. So it's August 7th. I actually didn't get the final few trail cameras put up yesterday, but I got back out here today, Saturday, and I'm just putting up cameras 5 and 6, and I went ahead and made another mock scrape. This is the west side of the property line. There's 2 large bean plots out here right now, tillable plots that about 8 acres total up here, and I have a stand up here, like I mentioned with all my other previous cameras, I'm always putting it close to a stand, so when it comes time to actually come down here and hunt, I'm just checking the cards, switching them out or pulling out my my little reader as I go to the stand. So just going to show you what I did out here. So I got another grapevine mock scrape built, took a shovel, cleared out the dirt underneath, and then I put my camera about 15 feet away, and I'll probably check just to make sure it you know, triggers this far away, but I think it'll be okay. And I put it up about 6 feet, and it's on a tree that's wider than the camera, so just kind of taking a look at what it's going to be taking on this mock scrape as the deer are funneling in the inside corner of this field. A lot of them come from the bedding area right over there, funnel around, either go down towards the wood line. We've got a trail cut through there, or they continue on into some more bedding over there. So either one of these corners, this one right here or even that one right there, would be a good spot for a trail camera. I'm actually going to go on the other side of this this property over here as it goes down into more bedding, and put a camera on the other side in the other bean plot on an inside corner, and probably make another mock scrape just like I did here. But I think that's going to be a good spot. I've had a camera up here either on this tree before. You get a lot of deer passing through, and if you don't have a camera that takes real quick pictures, you get a lot of blurry pictures. So you want to have something that you can actually keep the deer to pause for a second. So this mock scrape is going to be a great spot for that. Just get them to pause there, sniff, you know, rub their glands on that mock scrape, and then it'll be a good chance for me to get some good still shots on the camera. So just to, like I said, most of this stuff that I'm doing with these trail cameras is just to get an inventory, just to see what's out here early season. I'm not doing it to really target one specific buck. We've got a lot of 3.5 going on 4-year-old deer out here this year. I think there's going to be some nice deer to hunt just from the inventories that I did the previous season, late season, just seeing what's around. So we're going to have plenty of nice deer to focus in on this season. So I want to go ahead and take you over to the next location for camera 6, show you what that looks like. As you can see, I've got a stand right in here, and so I'll just be going around this mock scrape, and I enter around the back side of this and get up to my stand. So I'll be able to check that camera as I'm going to the stand every time. So I'll probably check them periodically up until mid-September, and then I want to stay out of the farm for a while, let it kind of cool down for a minute. And if I do decide to hunt, you know, the first couple weeks of October, it'll probably be just 1 or 2 sits, just to see what movement I have through some of the different food plots, even the micro plot, and some of the funnels that I'm hoping to kind of encounter some of these big bucks I've had on camera. So most of the time with this farm, it's only 50 acres, and now we have access to about 80. It tends to heat up pretty significantly about the end of October. So I might focus a little bit more on public land the first couple weeks of October, just to see what else I can find, and also kind of give this a little break until it really starts heating up in here and I see a lot more buck movement. So let's move on to the next camera site. So this is camera number 6. It's on the inside corner of this field over here. It's this southwest corner. So I got both of the front parts of the property covered. Basically, with my trail cam strategy, I'm basically trying to cover all the corners of the property, especially any kind of funnel area. And so I went ahead and made another mock scrape on this side. I looked around the corner of this, and there's just not much, especially with beans being as filled in as the way they were. I had one on that corner last year. I did get quite a few pictures, but it's close to the road, it's close to the neighbor's house, and I kind of wanted to put one a little closer to our property, especially the center of the property, inside corner. So this is about the only tree that I could find that leans itself to putting up any kind of mock scrape. So we got this tree leaning over
and went ahead and attached that. My recommendation would be to bring a step stool or a ladder, because it was a heck of a time getting that up there without one. But I got it up, cleaned it up underneath, got the mock scrape up right by the camera that's on the same tree, and it's about 6 feet off the ground. You know, it's got a nice backdrop, and you know, when you're doing these, you want to make sure that you come to, you know, your mock scrape or whatever area you want the camera to be pointing, and you want that camera facing, you know, at a good angle. So I had to play with that for a minute, but we got it the way we wanted to get it. So that's camera number 6. I have all the 50 acres covered in the areas that I want to be covered. And so I think if I put out any more cameras, I think I got 3 more to be on the new property. So I haven't quite decided if I want to put any out yet, but got some other stuff to work on today out here at the farm. I want to say thanks for watching. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment box below. Please, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Let us know what more kind of content you're interested in. If you like trail cameras, if you like food plots, fishing, hunting, whatever the case may be, something interests you and you want to see us do it on the channel, please let us know. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video.